Hello and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I would just like to talk about how my thought process has changed in relation to the quantity of kilometers that I cycle and versus the amount of useful time I actually spend on my bike. Now, I've been listening to coaching videos for a few years now, talking about training slower. But I haven't done it because I've been more focused on going out on the bike and just enjoying myself. But lately, my goals have changed and I want to see how fast I can cycle up Sa Calabra. Therefore, I need to be a bit more focused. In November, I decided it was time to give this slow training a shot and see what might happen. So my process was, I was hoping to cycle 5 days a week, and I took 3 of those days and converted them into easy or slow cycling days. What this meant for me was keeping my effort to below approximately 70% of my FTP. Now, I'm avoiding using the term zone 2 here because I think the more correct language is lactate threshold 1, and cycling around the 70% of my FTP is a good guide for that. The other factor I was using was I wanted each day to be between 100 and 150 TSS, which meant that I'd be well recovered for the next day to repeat and keep training. When I started this type of training, it was really difficult in the beginning because I was being passed out constantly by other cyclists. Leaving the city limits, as you're coming up to traffic lights, you would have to do a surge to get through the junction. Or once you came to an incline, you have to put it into your lowest gear and really go slow. But after a few weeks, I got used to that and just accepted it. My new type of training was all going perfectly. And then in early December, I was looking at Strava and looking at the amount of kilometers I had done so far this year. And also advertising for Strava, your year in sport, was coming up. And what happened was I got dragged into this notion of trying to do 10,000 kilometers in a year, which for me is a big deal, something I never thought of doing. And when you live in a country like Ireland or the United Kingdom, it takes a lot of time and commitment to be able to cycle 10,000 kilometers in a year. For people I know who live in the south of France and other good countries, getting time to do those kind of kilometers is much easier and it's a different mindset. So I was short approximately 600 kilometers on reaching this goal. And because the weather was really changing and getting less and less days where I could cycle, when I went out, I had to forget about this easy training. Now, to achieve an extra 600 kilometers by the end of the year meant changing my routine. I had to ignore cycling at 70% FTP because if I kept going this slow, the chances were that I was not going to reach 10k because it's winter. The cyclable days are less and less. The amount of daylight we have is less. Now, each time I went out, I was putting a lot more effort in. And very quickly, I noticed that I was tired. I was cycling and I was realizing this is taking a lot of effort. It's not enjoyable. Also, this is unproductive. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this so I can show on my Instagram and for my friends that I've cycled 10,000 kilometers in a year. Why? I'm ruining my training to show off, basically, to flex. Now that it's done, yes, I'm glad I've achieved the goal of having cycled 10,000 kilometers in a year. But that process of understanding how negative that last bit of training was to get in those 600 kilometers means I don't want to fall in that trap again. I've seen people try to do the Festive 500, and for some it can be a good positive, gets them out on the bike, keeps them active during the Christmas period. But also it can be just bad training. Why do it? Don't get caught in the hype. Completing the last 600k to reach my 10,000 kilometer goal was unproductive, wasn't pleasurable, and it made me realise that I don't want to do that again. When I go out on the bike, I'm either going out purely for fun or I'm going out with a purpose in mind, and that's going to be good quality time on the bike in the zone that I need to be training in. Now I'd like to recommend you watch a video by Mapdeck, and in this video they explain brilliantly and very simply the theory of junk miles. And it's good just to get your head around it and to understand, does this apply to me or not? And for the people that junk miles are just good fun miles, it's great. For others, you're really being unproductive on your bike. My main conclusion from this video is that for a lot of us, we just need to be clear on what we're trying to achieve. If we're just purely cycling for some fun, it really makes no difference what we're doing. But if we have a goal in mind, we just need to be clear that what we're doing is helping us achieve our goal and achieve something worthwhile for all the effort we're putting in.